Jim. He's dead.
Hello, you're listening to Improv Autopsy with Stephen Cadwell. That's me. Thanks for listening. This episode is my interview with Adam Scharf, a talented improviser and friend of mine from Orlando. Adam brings a joy and unpredictability to the stage that is infectious. He embraces play and has mountains of fun on stage, which makes him captivating and fun to watch. Adam was just becoming an ensemble member at SAC as I was leaving town, and I wish I could have played with him more. Yours to enjoy. Welcome to Adam Scharf's Improv Autopsy. I accidentally sabotaged somebody once in the studio, and we can't remember if it was you or Gabe. So the beginning of this will be, do you walk down the hall sometimes, or did you ever walk down the hall singing K-pop?
Oh, wait. No.
Okay. Did I
think you gave me K-pop once.
Yes. Okay.
Where
So
I had
that's
no
what
clue, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. See, I still don't remember. I still can't remember who I heard. Maybe it was Gabe that was singing K-pop, and I thought for sure it was you. And I thought I was giving you this beautiful gift, and knew immediately after it came out of my mouth, based on the stunned silence and then the laughter, that I had sabotaged you.
Yeah, I probably tried to suppress that.
I would assume after that time that, just you'd have practiced and it would have been part of your catalog by now.
I know. I mean, I don't. Is it racist? I mean, what would I have done? Like, just pretend to speak Korean?
No, I heard someone like walking through the, going up to the green room or something. Somebody passed me singing it, like making up singing K-pop. How I recognized it as K-pop, I don't know, because it's not a genre I'm familiar with. So maybe it was something else entirely.
Yeah,
it was like French Canadian, and I just misinterpreted it as K-pop. So so I thought, oh, that was Adam Scharf singing K-pop in the hallway or the bathroom or wherever I heard it. So obviously he wants this in the studio.
I was just thinking about it in the studio because I did 2 shows last night, and because there's always like, the host is always like, hey, anything off limits? And I always want to say in the studio, but everyone kind of gives you a nasty look if you're like one of those guys who's like, I don't do forward reverse, I don't do this, I don't do that. But like, I genuinely don't like it. I don't like that game.
Have you always not liked it, or can you trace that back to beginning?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of fear. It's a lot of fear arises because it isn't scene based. It isn't like, hey, let's go off of something. You just have to stumble into it, and it takes a lot of courage to just get up to the microphone and just allow it to occur to you. So like my best moments with it, that's what I did, and it was like really rewarding. But I'm not always that brave, I guess. But
you do, or have done musical improv in other contexts, right?
Yeah, but like it's so different because it's in the studio. It's just like, hey, here's a nursery rhyme. There's no scene that's before it that's giving me context, that's helping me set up like what my want is. You just have to make up a song on the spot, and it has to be funny. And I just find that so hard.
See, next time you get it, just make it your intent to make the song sad.
Yeah.
It's a lament.
Yeah, maybe do a little bit of crying.
Yeah, then you'll have won everyone over, and they'll never ask you to do it again. Okay, so getting, I guess, for real. Thanks for doing this, by the way. We can jump in. I like to start with just the kind of the beginning. When did you first become aware of improv as a thing?
Whose line is it anyway? I was probably like 10 or 11, something like that. And then I would go visit my cousins, and we would be in the living room, and we would just play Whose Line Is It Anyway and pretend to be them, and just do that. Sometimes just reenact the scenes that we saw.
Who did you pretend to be? Anyone in particular?
I think I always loved Ryan Stiles, but also Colin Mockery as well.
Yeah. And then if that was your first encounter with improv, then when did you first seek it out in real life?
Well, for some reason, I was like 16 and I really wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and I was really not very good. But through that, like I just like called up a comedy club that was like down the street for me and started showing up. And I don't think I was legally even supposed to be in the building, but I started like emceeing for them and doing like 10-minute spots. And then eventually just like different friends were in there, and they wanted to do improv for a night, and I had no training, and I don't think they did either. And it was probably horrendous. But we did it. That was probably my first improv shows.
So your first shows were before you had any training.
Yeah, I think they just I don't know, we were teenagers. Like we just thought we could just do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of self-taught, right? You'd seen Whose Line, so it wasn't like you were coming at it completely blind.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm sort of mystified by that whole period. But because I just don't think it was very good, but for some reason it kind of like stayed in my brain. And actually, I probably didn't think I would ever do it again after that period. I had moved to Orlando. And the only reason I got into SAC and improv was I bombed an audition at Disney. And the casting director was like, "Hey, you're really young and you probably got potential, but like you really need to train and learn something." And I was like, "Okay." So he mentioned SAC and gave me like a business card, I think. And yeah, I asked my mom, I was like, "Hey, can you pay for my level one? Because I really want to do this. I think I need to do this." And luckily she did.
Do you remember what the audition was for?
Yeah, it was for, Streetmosphere at
Okay.
Disney, yeah.
So your family moved down
No,
to.
I was here by myself.
Oh, you just asked your mom to pay.
Yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
What brought you to Orlando then?
In hindsight, I do wish I probably went to college. I probably would have really liked that. But at the time, I just felt, like, really queasy about it. I remember going to, like, college campuses and feeling nauseated. I don't know why. I know there was some, like, weird psychological block, but I just couldn't do it, and I just felt like it was a waste of time. And boy, is that a mistake. So I I just I eventually I went to college in my 30s and I absolutely loved it. But yeah, I just was like, I don't know where to go. I know I want to be in entertainment and an actor in some fashion. And the closest thing we could come up with, my family and I, was like, well, be an actor at Disney. So that's what I did. That's what got me down there.
Okay, so it was for the specific role of Street Mo that you bombed, or
Well, no, I was, like, working at Splash Mountain, and then I was a character performer. So I was, like, wearing the costumes and stuff, and, I was Pluto and Buzz Lightyear and all that stuff.
following in the footsteps of Wayne Brady?
Yeah, exactly. So then I just kept going to these open auditions and not doing well. I never got it. I mean, for, like, years, I auditioned for that.
And now there's very little, if any, Street Mo at the moment, right?
Yeah, they shoulda had me when they had the chance.
Okay, so they gave you the card, you looked it up, your mom was probably relieved that she was only paying for level 1 at SAC and not college.
Yeah, way cheaper.
It was a discount.
Yeah, and that's I got in and I was like, I really don't I here's what mystifies me as well. It's like so many people believed in me. Like you believed in me, Dinger believed in me, Greg believed in me, and I look back at that time where I see footage, I'm like, I went so hard. It's like, wow, what why did I keep getting asked to like join these groups and to keep moving up? It's baffling looking back at it, but it just kind of kept happening. I was in level one. I did all the classes, and John asked me to join Lab Rats, and yeah, I went through the whole ranks.
About it makes you feel that way? Anything is it the choices that you made? Is it like is it just because you have more knowledge now and you're like, "Oh, this is," like what about that time when you watch the footage that makes you queasy?
Maybe just too weird, and like I think that was one of the techs actually told me that. He's like, "Hey, when I first time I saw you on stage, I was like really weirded out. It was just like really strange." And I was like, "But you really grew on me and you became a better improviser." And I was like, "Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know if I would have taken the risk on myself if I saw like what I was doing. I can't imagine it was very funny or interesting, but I don't know.
I would imagine that it was interesting because it was different, not weird, but because it was unique. Do you feel like you don't, have that you've normalized your play?
No, just think it's more trained, and I was grateful to be influenced by the performers at SAC who actually I felt got me on the right path of what was funny and how to heighten a scene and really how to implement my own persona into the show. And that's what I love about SAC was there was always like the performers in the scene, but there was always a scene within the scene,
Yeah.
and everybody in the ensemble that I would admire and look up to, including you, it was like everyone had their persona that fit into the show. And there would be the scene, the character, but then there would be moments where it was you, you break through and it would be like your personality and your authentic self, like breaking through the fourth wall. It was really compelling. So I think all those performers just helped me be okay with like, yeah, no, be your weird self and make that fit into the show while doing good scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Now I know you've been so went through the ranks. You made it into ensemble at SAC. I imagine life is a little busier now than when I moved to Chicago for you. Are you getting to the lab often or not so much?
No, I'm trying to this year, but I have a 8-month-old.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. So that's been commandeering a lot of my time.
Rightfully so. That's good.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah. So not really. I don't teach anymore, and I just do like some corporate gigs here and there. But yeah, I'm trying to get back more this year.
And I know you've been a part of a few external groups. What was the first that you were connected with?
I think I did Power 2 Improv with Matt Jervia and PJ.
Yep.
And that was at a hotel. And we would do shows by a pool on the by the side of a pool. I remember the owner was like really like didn't care at all. He was like, yeah, do whatever you want, but don't jump in the pool. Okay. That was his only rule.
And why? Like
I don't know. He was really like stubborn about it. Like, don't ever jump in the pool.
Was there anyone in the pool?
Yeah, that's the thing. Our audience was swimming. So we would feel like, hey, we need someone to help us out with the moving bodies. And these wet kids in swimsuits would drip all over the place. And it was like, it was pretty wild.
Amazing. That is amazing. I always thought maybe, it was like, hey, we have the pool, but no one ever gets in there. No one can go in there. But if other people were in there, what would it matter if one of you jumped in? Because that wouldn't be something that would cross my mind as a performer, like in performing clothes.
Yeah. I probably would have done it. Maybe he saw that look in my eye, like
this one.
I could really go for a swim. But yeah, that was like the first group, and I was really grateful for them because I needed stage time, and they gave that to me. I was probably doing that when I was in classes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then through classes, Richard Paul put me and another student together named Daniel Collins, and we started a 2-man improv show called Droll Academy. And you remember those days.
Yeah, I still have somewhere on here some unusable footage of you guys at the Drunken Monkey. Is that where it was?
Yeah, it would be fun at a cafe.
Where my camera was malfunctioning, so it would record and then stop, and I'd have to restart it. So I think I got your full show, but with like intermittently 5-second sections missing. So I was rather frustrated by that. That may have been your last show.
Yeah. Yeah, we did it for a while. It was really fun. It was like I really connected with Daniel, and he's just a really talented guy. And it was like the first time I was like, oh, I really like improv, like just doing anything you want, doing more long form scenes. It was my first taste of that. And we were in a cafe, and the grinders were going off. It was an annoyance for most people most of the time because they were clacking on laptops. And then there was just these guys, but we had fun. I mean, like really weird things. It was this place where we do whatever we want. We could jump in the pool, so to speak.
Yeah.
I remember we would do a lot of things outside. We would just leave the cafe and the audience would watch us through a window. We would go in the road and continue the scene out there. Or yeah, it was weird. At one time, there was only a few people in the audience. And I think we were like, for some reason, we went outside again. And then when we came back in the building, everyone was gone. So we're like, wait, where is everybody? And then we heard like laughing, and we opened the bathroom door, and the audience was crammed into the bathroom.
Who's Andy Kaufman-ing who? You may have thought that you were being Andy Kaufman by going to the street, but the audience was being Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, they got me. Yeah, they coughed on me.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so it was kind of that vibe, and we kind of he was moving to Japan, so it found a natural ending point. But it was a great education. Like working with Richard was really great and funny and weird. And he's a pretty eccentric guy, but a really compelling teacher. And he was one of my favorite teachers. And I actually got a ton of influence from him. He made things meaningful. It wasn't just funny. You could actually be sort of artful in improv, and that came from him. I really had no idea.
So, and he was your director for a bit, or he just can?
Yeah, he was like our coach, director, producer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was really great and supportive.
And then was there any other groups after Droll Academy?
Yeah, so I've been working in the ensemble and teaching and going to festivals and doing that whole thing. And Brett Walden came to SAC, and I was just amazed by him. He was so sharp and subversive and intelligent and bitter at times. And nothing escaped his gaze. He caught everything. He was so fastidious, and I was pretty enamored. And one day, I think we must have done some good shows together. And he asked me to do a duo with him. And I was shocked. I was like, me? Why do you want to do this with me? You're really good. Okay. And yeah, it was just kind of unlikely. And it was amazing. It was probably my best improv experiences and shows were Scharf and Walden. That's what the show was called. And we didn't prep at all. All we had was the theme song. That was the most thing we thought about. And I remember standing behind the doors and they just announced our name and we're like, well, here we go. And just walked on stage. And it was amazing. And we had a really solid, like 4 or 5 year run. Yeah, I loved those scenes. It was so special.
And when you say you didn't have any prep, does that you didn't have any particular format or structure that you were following?
No, it was just talking to the audience and maybe getting something from them. Or we started asking people what their favorite song was at the moment. What are you currently listening to? And that kind of tells you a lot about, what you're currently listening to, kind of pinpoints that person, and maybe they're going through a breakup or maybe they're in love, or like, so the music was like a really good tell. And we would then cue it up in the tech booth and listen to like 30 seconds of it. And we would have the lights fade and the music would get louder. And then we'd rise out of the blackout and start a scene. So that was really fun.
And did you do this outside of SAC first before? Because I know
No,
you.
it was a SAC produced show. So
Okay.
we went through that channel and just said, hey, we want to do this show. And Chris Dinger gave us carte blanche. Like, yeah, whatever you want to do. Yeah, we had our little time slot and did that for like 4 or 5 years.
And then Brett moved overseas.
He did, yeah.
There's a-
I see a pattern here.
The next time it's going to be like, hey, Adam, there's this ensemble member we want to leave. Can you start doing a 2-person show?
I know the drill. Yeah.
Look, it's going to take a couple years, guys, but they'll move overseas.
Yeah, but trust me, everyone does.
And then I imagine, has there been anything then since Scharf and Walden, or has it been focusing on other things now for a little bit?
Yeah, I started being more serious about writing music, and I've released a bunch of albums. I write short fiction, and once in a while I get some of that published. So I think just exploring different creative outlets. So that and getting married and having a baby, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much been it.
Yeah. I mean, all those are worthwhile things. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so thinking back on your improv history, does anything stick out in terms of, I guess akin to the pool, but in terms of like moments where you were either terrified or were super surprised, or something went awry on stage, and either it was fixed or it wasn't, but any moments like that stick out?
Constantly. Yeah, I think that's what improv is to me, is train wreck theater. that it's you have these expectations and standards of a proper theater performance because it looks like it's on stage and there's a little set behind you and lighting and a musician, but then it's immediately misses the target of those standards because people just making it up, and it's often not, you wouldn't, if you were writing it, you wouldn't say those things, it's so it happens all the time. That's also the beauty of it. And there's been so many moments where I've been, oh God, how is this gonna pull through? This is not gonna happen. And all of a sudden, Brett would do something that ties it back to the first scene we did. I was like, oh my God. I felt like, we escaped with our lives. And Brett was just always into that. And I always wanted to get off stage as soon as possible. So as soon as we would like pull a rabbit out of our butts and like pull this whole show together, I would be like, all right, good night, everybody. And Brett would be like, no, we're not. There's 30 minutes left. Yeah. But there's just been a lot of like hairy moments. And like we went to Vancouver. It was Dinger, Emily, and I, and we were in this tournament over there, and we got to the finals. And I guess Chris wasn't expecting to make the finals, and he had to leave, so he flew back to the States. And Emily and I were by ourselves facing this final. Like we were in the finals of this competition. And I think Ryan Stiles was in the audience. We're like, oh God, everything's gonna go bad. And we just quickly were like, whatever, let's just make something up. And we totally didn't. It was like the weirdest improv show ever, where we were Tad and Lorna, and we were a happily divorced couple. And it was just like this lounge act that we did, and everyone loved it. And we ended up winning. So yeah, there's been so many moments where you're just constantly facing uncertainty and unknown. And I'm so reliably pleased and surprised with it just comes together.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that, like, I got more comfortable with that the more I did improv, that it just comes together and you really don't have to work that hard. I think maybe go back, like why my early performances I wince at, because I think I was just working really hard.
Yeah.
Just trying way too hard. And there's really no need.
Yeah. I think it's either Sue Messing or Rachel Mason who says effort is ugly.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of like this trick of the mind where, I mean, I know a lot of people from teaching improv would always come to me and say, like, I feel really anxious. I'm really in my head. I'm really self-conscious. And I've definitely felt that many, many, many times. And I think meditation actually really kind of helped me see what that feeling was and what those thoughts were. And it made me a way better improviser.
Because you were able to isolate those feelings, or because it made you more present in the moment, or all of that?
Well, I think part of our anxiety, at least my anxiety, is that we think we have to fix it. We think we have to, like, we're on stage, we're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Oh man, why did he just say that? This is going to be really hard to climb out of. But you're not really doing anything. I think like if you just sit down and close your eyes and like just follow your breath and just notice what thoughts you're having and what's occurring, you begin to recognize that you're not really doing anything, that every thought is just occurring on its own and dissolving on its own. I do this meditation like every day. I'll like sit there and I'll just listen to sounds, and I'll hear cars going by, the AC running, a plane, and I'll just ask myself, like, is that mine? Am I doing that? And then I'll go to the feelings in my body, like a little sensation, little like tingly sensations in my scalp or an itch. Is that mine? Am I doing that? And then I go to my thoughts, and all these thoughts come in, maybe some anxiety, maybe some critical thought. I'm like, well, is that mine? Did I author that? And the answer is I'm not doing any of it. It's just occurring entirely on its own. And once I was able to really recognize that, I think on stage, it was like, it's just occurring. I really don't have to do anything. It's just happening. Like when you're in a scene, you're not like choosing what you say. It just occurs to you. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Have I had too much coffee?
No, I think it's making
Like
sense.
you're not choosing to think the thing you're thinking. It's just happening. So I feel like I don't have to get out of anything. I don't this anxiety, I don't have to fix it. I don't have to worry about the scene. It's just going to occur to me. And at that point, it's just you're at play and you're just having fun. And at least that was my experience.
That's awesome. So as I was asking that, I remembered something that I wanted to ask you, and that was you also, I know, at least guested for Doctor Who's line for the Gainesville Improv Festival.
Oh yeah.
Kayla was there as well, so I've heard it from her perspective. So I was wondering, whatever you remember, and maybe it wasn't that formative of a memory for you, but what do you remember of that experience?
Well, I remember they asked me to do this Doctor Who themed improv show where it's like a long form or you essentially they improvise an episode of Doctor Who. And they're like, "Hey, you should do this. You should guest, jump in." And I was pretty forward about that. I had no knowledge of what Doctor Who was.
Yeah.
And they were like, "That's perfect." That was another big moment of complete uncertainty. Like, I literally have never heard of the show before. I don't know any of the references. And it was a blast. It was a great show because I just made really confident decisions that were all wrong. Every nerd in the audience, they were laughing and mocking me my choices. Like, of course, that's not what this is. There a screwdriver or something?
Yes, he has a sonic screwdriver. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what I thought that was, but I was doing things that it doesn't do, and they were uproariously laughing at me for the full show. Yeah, that's just amazing. I just make choices and just be confident in them.
So were you playing you were the associate professor or whatever, the professor is what we called it for Doctor Who's line, because we didn't want to pretend like we were actually Doctor Who. So it was
Oh, that's
associate
what you
professor, I
called it.
think.
Okay.
Is that who you were?
I don't remember.
Because it would have either been that or the companion,
Yeah.
who's the person that tags along.
Didn't you have like little robots or something in it?
Daleks were in it. They probably brought one. I wasn't there for that show, so they probably brought one. I played with them for Fringe for a couple shows when they did it at Fringe.
It was a cool show.
Yeah,
I haven't thought about that in a while. That was awesome.
it was a Charles Fryerman form. Like he developed it with a bunch of other people, but I think predominantly Charles Fryerman. So the thing that Kayla remembers a lot about that show as well, because she was in it from the beginning, so she did a lot of shows with them, and during the suggestion part, one of the suggestions was, what planet are we on? And the suggestion that they got was the zoo planet, and y'all went through the whole show without referencing that at all. And the way that Kayla remembers is that the show ended with, the resolution happened, and then Jim Doyle says, "And all the animals are back in their cages." And you said, "What?" And then it was a blackout.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I think people just like messing with me. I remember we did. Were you there for Christmas Invasion?
No, I missed it. We caught it at Dad's garage on the way home because I was down there visited a little bit in December before the holidays. So we stopped in Georgia and we saw their version of it, but I never saw it at SAC.
Yeah. So the premise is basically, for those who don't know, it's a scripted Christmas Carol, but there's an invader. So the audience picks between two different characters. It could be the Terminator or Batman, and they're going to be in the show, and they don't know the script, and the actors have to do the Christmas Carol script, but also change it with what the invader is offering and shaping the show to be. I did it for the first year. I was Tiny Tim.
Okay.
But then I was an invader like years later. And that was another moment where I didn't really know. It was Dinger, I think. Dinger and Joel were like, all right, Pee Wee Herman or Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, well, I don't do a Pee Wee Herman impression. And the same thing. They were like, perfect. So I was like, well, I don't want to do this. I'm going to be humiliated. They're going to want a good Pee Wee. You know what I mean? They're going to want a Pee Wee. So I told the audience, I said, by the way, before you vote, I don't do Pee Wee Herman. So it's not going to be good. And everyone picked Pee Wee Herman and Spider-Man.
Oh,
So I think Dinger or Joel made me do both. So the whole show, I got in a Pee Wee Herman outfit, and I did a really bad Pee Wee Herman impression, but I was also Spider-Man.
so you had to do both.
Yeah, I was like Pee Wee Herman, but I was crawling on walls, and I remember like shooting web, and then every time I would shoot a web and swing, one of the actors would go, "What does he think is happening when he does that?" Because it was all invisible. So yeah, I was humiliated.
So that's so great. So kids, go into improv if you want to be humiliated.
Yeah.
But only if you have, that's only by good friends.
Well, that's the show within a show.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why SAC is so special, because it's just so hard to find. Like, I've been to so many different improv theaters, and a lot of it's good, but I don't know. There's something special about SAC. There was just like the show within a show was such an event, and like you love the people, you love the performers and the actors. Yeah, I don't know. It was really special.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the things that sets SAC apart. That interaction and that the play that happens between the actors between scenes is one of the reasons why I really wish they would go back to 3-on-3 instead of just 2-on-2. I feel like that 3-on-3 led to more of that sort of
It encourages more impish behavior.
yeah.
Because it's like, it's three of us, and you're watching the other scene, like, all right, let's just enter and do something. There's just more ideas.
Yeah.
You feel more emboldened because it's not just you and one person. You feel more courageous, I think.
Yeah. And maybe it's a symbiotic relationship between that and also then the awareness and love for the audience and really bringing the audience in, because I've definitely been to shows, and some that were really good, that there's a much greater distance between the performers and the audience, whereas SAC, it's really an experiential thing. It's not just a performance, it's an experience, because the audience is a very important part of the show.
Yeah. No, it's definitely really special. And people who visit and guest at SAC, they're always like, wow, what a great theater. It's just so different.
Yeah. So, in your experience, both as a player or as a spectator, what's the most shocking thing that you've seen or done on stage?
I think I jumped through a painting once on stage. There was something, I got a doubt as a portal or something, and there was this canvas painting, and I think someone put a little rip in it and was like, you have to go through it. And I think I remember diving through the painting on stage.
Have you ever seen, I think it's called American Movie?
No.
So it's a documentary of these two guys that are trying to make this independent film, and this has got to be like 90s, possibly 80s, but I think it was the 90s. Anyway, the reason I ask is because there's a scene, they call it Coven, or no, maybe they call it Coven.
Oh, 2020. Everyone had Coven.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this was ahead of its time. And they're filming a scene in the main guy, the director guy's kitchen or whatever. And he's like, so what we've done is we've taken this cabinet door and we've scored it so that when I hit his head with it, it'll break. And the guy's down on the ground and he hits him with the cabinet door and it doesn't break. And then it just cuts to them scoring it a little more, hitting him in the head and it not breaking. And they do it over and over and over again until this thing is like barely together and the guy's like clearly dazed, and they hit him with it and it finally breaks. And so I think it's extraordinarily courageous of you to have been like, oh, you put a little tear in it. Yeah, I'll just dive head first through this canvas.
Yeah, I mean, there was a period where when I would do scenes with Dinger, things always got really dangerous and physical. I remember it was actually during the Vancouver show. He picked me up one time. We were like, I don't know how it happened, but we were kind of in a standing 69 position. And I don't know how it happened, but we're kind of like walking around it. And then he dropped me on my neck. And the audience was laughing and laughing. And then as soon as I dropped, everyone hushed and it was silent. And I just had to like slowly let everyone know that I was okay. But like it stopped the entire scene.
Yeah.
Because everyone thought that I'd severely wounded my spinal cord.
Yeah.
It's really hard to bounce back after one of those.
Yeah. Did you slip? Did he intentionally drop you? Did he say anything afterward?
No, I don't even know. He probably doesn't even remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it because I fell. But yeah, I would just dive through things and jump and be carried by people and go on people's shoulders and climb up the set and like it was dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I am also relieved that you weren't injured, as I'm sure was the audience. Yeah, I mean, it must not have been too bad because you did go on to win the tournament, so they couldn't have been. I mean, it must have been definitely a relief, but you also, it didn't derail the scene too much.
No, I guess it was okay, but yeah, it was definitely like this isn't funny anymore because someone
Yeah,
almost got hurt.
like make sure that are they breathing? Watch their stomach. Are they okay?
Yeah, so yeah, it's dicey.
What's the hardest fail that you've experienced or witnessed, other than K-pop?
Well, man, yeah, I'm haunted by it in the studio. I bombed that really bad one time, and there was a lady I was interested in at the time, and she like came to the show, and I got Beach Boys, and I'm a huge Beach Boys nut. But for some reason, I didn't do like the easy peasy Mike Love part. I was like, I'm gonna do the falsetto like Brian, and it was so bad. And it was just there wasn't the right chord progression. I couldn't find it, and it was just 200 people staring blankly as I flailed and poorly sang, and nothing like ending a song with no applause. You know what I mean?
How many times did you mention her name in the song?
Yeah, not enough. I should have done that. That brings me up. The silence is always funny, but like Lawrence was hosting one time, and he's kind of an anti-hero figure. He does not want to get with the program. He will not comport to what the model is. He's going to do his own thing, and he's going to rebel. And so he's hosting, and he's just talking monotone. There's no excitement from him. There's no momentum. And all of a sudden, he goes to the microphone and goes, "You guys ready to meet your players? Okay, and here's Adam, Dinger, Jose." And we fly out to music blaring and the lights going, and no one's applauding. Silence is really it's it's hard to stomach.
Yes. Did he have that twinkle in his eye, like he knew what he was doing?
I think he definitely knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he just like, you know what? I'm going to host this, but I'm going to be the worst host ever, and that's going to be what's interesting about it. And it was interesting.
There's another show, speaking of Dinger and Jose, that I was told to ask you about to see if you remember. Jose remembers it. I think he mentioned it.
Is this the bear?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the thing. When you're with your friends, you just feel like comfortable and relaxed, and you're just having fun, and like, there's those shows where you're just enjoying yourself, and it's just occurring. You're not working, and so Jose and I are on a team, and we're just sitting on our stools watching the other team, and Dinger is like doing a typewriter story or something, and he's narrating that what's going to be happening. He's like in the scene, and it's like walking through the woods. And then he's like, and then out of nowhere, a bear approaches. And Dinger and Jose and I are just watching. We're looking at him smiling. we're just absorbed. We don't realize that he's like, and a bear approaches. And we're still just kind of like watching the show, not really clicking that he wants us to be in it.
Yeah.
And he just comes over and he's still on mic. Be a fucking bear, you idiot. Everyone had to hear that.
Oh, well, that's another one of those moments you're talking about, though, right? That's the play within the play, the show within the show.
Exactly.
Even though, and that wasn't like planned or scripted or hammed up at all. That was but yeah, that's I think part of the fun of that form and SAC is that kind of thing can happen.
Yes, and you break character and you're yourself in a moment of honesty, and that happened in Scharf and Walden probably every show where I would say something and Brett would stop and go, "Wait, do you really think that?" And you're like, "Wait, do you not know that happened?" We were doing a Abraham Lincoln scene, and I said something in the scene. What was Lincoln's wife?
Mary Todd.
I was Mary Todd, and I was like, well, dear, we got to go to the theater. Let's wait for the Secret Service. And he was like, oh, do you not know that what happened? There was no Secret Service back then. And then there was that moment of like, oh my God. Like it would just, we broke character and we would talk about it. Like, wait, what? And that was always really fun. And like, yeah, I don't know. Like Greg Yates, like he was always the show within the show. And I remember starting a scene, he would just close the curtain every time I tried to start a scene. And that was, I don't think I did a scene that whole show. Every time I would try to start one, he would close the curtain. And that just kind of became the scene.
Yeah. What would you say is the worst audience interaction you witnessed? Or do any audience interactions stick in your mind? Because there may not be any, which is fine.
Do you remember Monkey Boy?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. Should I say that? I don't know. The performer was like, hey, we need someone to help us out with moving bodies. Who's kind of a physical guy out there? And then in the back, this guy, like you can't really see him, but he's like, oh yeah, come on up here. And the audience is cheering him, but he's kind of like moving in a different way. He's kind of almost like a monkey. Like his hands are just kind of like different, and he's walking differently, and he can't see it. And the performer was like, oh, are you a monkey boy? Come on up here, monkey boy. And as he gets to the stage and is revealed, he was like a disabled person.
Yeah.
And it was just, oh no. Oh God. So, I mean, you should probably just edit that out.
Well, I mean, it's real. It happened. I was there. And the scene happened. The scene continued. I can't remember if that person stuck around.
Yeah. I mean, that is gut-wrenching.
Yeah. But I also remember, like, I don't remember that audience member.
He loved it.
Yeah, being offended or anything.
He was having the time of his life.
Yeah. And it was one of those things that was an honest mistake. It wasn't something that was being done to make fun of.
No, if he had known, he would never have.
Yeah, absolutely not.
That.
Yeah, he would not have. But yes. I know that you're not a fan of In the Studio. Is there a short form game or a long form structure that you really love that's a favorite?
Well, I liked what we did in the early show. I thought that was always fun. What was that? Cut to.
Okay.
Cut to is good, where like you start a scene, two people, and someone comes in and cut to, and you start exploring the possibility of this situation or these characters in a different context.
Yeah.
Either in the past or the future. And you really get to explore their quirks and their goals in a funny, explorative way. I think Harold is also fun, but it's also really weird.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever enjoyed, it's kind of like bowling, where I don't enjoy watching people bowl, but I like doing it.
Yeah.
I like being in a Harold, but I don't like watching them.
I think they're, yeah, I empathize. And I think it's also interesting because did you do an intensive or did you do any classes at all up at IO or anything?
I did at IO.
Because my experience up there, both with IO and then some other people, is it really depended on who you got as a teacher that was teaching Harold. And then you could teach your level 4 instructor might be thinking of it completely different than your level 5 instructor. And you kind of had to relearn. And maybe both of them were, with Del Close learning it, but they just got something completely different from Del. And so I don't know, if Harold exists in any kind of pure form. I don't know, but I enjoy playing with the structures, and I enjoy moving through Harold and navigating that. But you're right; the ones I've enjoyed watching are more few and far between.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be mortifying. Have you ever seen a show or been in a show where someone makes a choice and it just, they didn't mean to step in it, but they're in it and they don't know how to get out of it. And now the law of heightening. So they're just kind of like committing to it to see if it maybe pulls them through and becomes okay and funny. And it just isn't, and it gets worse and worse. Have you seen those shows?
Yeah.
I think Harold maybe emboldened that moment to happen more. I saw a show at a festival where this performer was, I mean, they just, they did. Oh my! I mean, it was really hard to watch because they're good intentioned people, but they just got into trouble and they couldn't get out of it. They kept doubling down. It was something about like it was like a couple. It was like a husband and wife, and their son was trying to lose his virginity or something, and he just said something about like a videotape or something, and it just you know what? Look at the videotape, and someone was just like, but then it became. I think it was they were making their kid watch a sex tape of them, and they just couldn't stop. It just kept going, and everyone was like, there were groans. I think someone shouted, "No!" It was like, oh God, how do we get out of this?
Oh, were you at the, I think it was the first Orlando Improv Festival that Baratelli did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you remember this?
Were they pretending to be the audience?
Yes.
Yeah, they pretended to be the audience, not laughing.
Yeah.
Because the audience wasn't really on board. They weren't getting it, and they just totally took it out on the audience, and was like, then they started pretending to be us, not laughing and being really snooty. I was like, whoa, they can't stop, right? Like they started a choice, and they felt like compelled by the yes and law. They're like, I guess we got to keep going, and it just became more and more awkward.
And the audience hated them more and more.
Yeah.
As it went on. Later in that, maybe you were also in this set. It was the set where everyone was kind of playing together, and one of those guys walked on stage, and Jim Doyle turned around and immediately shot him.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it was in the jam afterward, right?
Yeah. Because it's like no time for that.
Well, that's when like wait, what's his name? Dave Rosowski is a really intense guy. You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's pretty prolific and polemic in his approach. But one of his big things is like, screw your yes and we don't need it. And I think that can be pretty useful. You don't have to agree with everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if someone has like a really just one of those slips, like you don't have to have your kid watch a sex tape. You know what I mean? Like the character can say, I'm not doing that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, I think, because the yes for me is like you're agreeing to the reality.
The premise.
Yes.
Yeah. You agree to what's happening,
and I'll agree that you wanted me to watch that, but I don't have to agree to watch it.
Yeah. I think that's once you kind of have that insight, it's really helpful. And you start finding more creative ways to exist in the scene, and how actually not being in line with your partner can be really fruitful.
Yeah.
And comedically interesting. I remember with Brett during Scharf and Walden, it wasn't uncommon where I would just completely ignore him and just be in a world of my own and just going about the scene, and him just being mad and talking about it. So, yeah, you could definitely break all those rules. But I do remember every time Rosowski was in town, I would be teaching like a level 3, and they would go to his class, and then they would come back to mine. It would be like, I don't have to do this or this or this. And then like they didn't really get like, well, you first learn how to do improv, and then you can like mess with it and break all the rules. But yeah, all of a sudden they're like, well, I don't have to do yes, and I don't have to do this. Like, oh man.
Yeah,
he would wreak havoc. He's pretty singular. I mean, I don't know. There's just no one like him. He's really special.
Yeah. What do you think's the best way to right the ship when things start to go sideways?
I think slow down. I think you have to kind of lean into the fear and the uncertainty and just slow down and just let it occur to you and take it beat by beat and be emotionally affected. I think that's one of the greatest gifts. Like so many times a scene that's not going well, it's usually because the player isn't dressed in an emotion. They're just kind of naked on stage, and nothing will occur to your partner if you're not feeling anything.
Yeah.
So it could be anything. It's just if you're just I think my cheat, like to start any scene, is usually just like be doing something emotionally. That's it. And
Yeah.
a first line will occur to you based off of that. It will be triggered by it, or your partner will get something from it. So yeah, I think you have to be emotional with everything.
Do you find has post been helpful for you or in your journey, especially at SAC? Because I don't know if every theater does a post show discussion, but we usually do.
Well, it could be self-indulgent in times
Yeah. Yep.
or pedantic, like where someone's just going into this like they're like ripping apart a forward reverse with like all this improv theory, and it's like I don't think it's that serious. I think it was just not a good scene. I think we can just move on. But I think where post is fun is when you're just celebrating. I love that where you're just reliving the weirdness. I think that's bonding, and even like to be able to laugh at a scene that failed.
Yeah.
I remember after the early shows, we would just recount the plot of what happened, and it was just
Yes.
an amazing, bizarre journey. And I was like, wow, I can't believe we just did that. So maybe that's why I like post. It's just fun to celebrate and take a victory lap with each other, like, and just compliment each other. Like, wow, I love that you said that. I love that you made that choice. I think being critical in a post, I've I've never seen it go well. I've never seen someone take a note well, they do it. Or they're just like, okay, gotcha, but they don't implement it the next time.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know if it does anything, but I think it's a great way to bond and to just savor the show that you guys just did.
Yeah. There's something special about improv logic, and I also love kind of going through the okay, so it made complete sense in the scene, but just logically, let's kind of go over what happened because it's complete nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, it's delicious.
Yes.
I love going over the nonsense.
Okay, I'd like to switch gears just a little bit. I have a little sort of Proustian questionnaire, so I have some questions to ask. But Adam, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
Well, it's kind of back to that meditation thing where I may be getting nervous, but I just realized like, hey, this is happening on its own. I'm not actually doing any of this. And at that point, I'm just released from the pressure and I'm just going to have fun. And I remember who I'm on stage with. And I remember that we're going to have fun and be silly. And yeah, just be simple and be emotionally simple at all times. And it just clicks.
Do warm-ups play a role at all in your prep? Have they ever?
No, we don't warm up anymore. I mean, like in the classes, we would. Lab rats, we probably did. The Wednesday night group, we probably did. But as soon as I made ensemble, we weren't really. The hacky sack had kind of gone out of favor. We would just do the games we would make up. Remember, there would be games
Yeah.
with our own rules we make up. Those were just fun, and those were great because it's like, okay, the pressure's off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was more about goofing around with your friends than it was about doing this specific thing.
it probably would be helpful to warm up, but we don't do it.
Do you have a favorite get for?
Actually, it's so funny. Joel Warren last night in the 7 o'clock show had a great, great one. He just said, he asked the audience, he's like, hey, what's a place with a distinct smell?
Nice. Yeah.
And someone was like, dentist. I was like, oh, God, that's good. That's good. You could say blockbuster, library,
Yeah.
museum. I was like, oh, that's a clever way to get a really simple suggestion.
Yeah.
I usually ask people. I remember Mike Card told me I had to stop doing this immediately. I don't know what kind of state of mind I was in, but I would just say, "Hey, is the window open or closed?" And they would say, "Closed," and that was it. And Michael's like, "What do you? Stop it! That's not helpful at all." And I was like, "All right, cool." But I ask people a lot of times, "Hey, where was the place of your first kiss?" I like getting into the smooch territory.
Yeah. That is good. That's another good one.
No, it never is good. I got to stop doing it. No one ever gets. It's people are always funny about it. They think it's a.
Oh,
They got to be funny.
okay. So it's always like my ass.
Yeah, yeah. It's usually something like that, or someone says something even dirtier because they go like, "Where was your first kiss?" They go, "Oh, my wiener," or something. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Remember those performers? I don't know if you ever did this. I'm not making fun of you. I just always thought it was funny, and I can never do this. Remember they would stand on stage and they would go, "Hey, so it would be really long. Like, it would be like this huge, yeah, I just ran a marathon actually. Pretty big stuff. Yeah, trained and worked really hard and ended up doing pretty good. What's something you lie about?"
That's Jose does that. That's Jose's.
Just get to it.
Yeah.
It's way too long. Is the window open or closed?
You could be a lot similar. Just ask. Is the marathon finished or not?
Yeah,
There you go.
that's it.
I do like the ones that I do. I like the ones that where you throw a little curveball at them at the end. So I think I was there the first time Jose did that. Get for based on a conversation in the green room. I don't think it takes quite that long, but
Maybe that's all in my mind.
but we saw Hipprov not too long ago, Colin Mockery's show where they hypnotize audience members to play with him.
Whoa.
Which is fascinating. If it comes down there, go and see it because it's a trip. It's a really cool act, a very fun show. But one of his gets was, what's a great gift to give someone you don't like very much, which I thoroughly enjoyed as a get.
Yeah, that's savory.
What's your least favorite suggestion?
Dog.
Oh yeah,
I don't like dog because it's always like, okay, are we buying a dog? Is the dog lost? It vacillates between those two premises, and I actually got dog last night as a suggestion. I think.
really? From asking about the window?
Yeah, believe it or not, someone got dogs. And then it was like, and I made it about a gang member. We were the dogs or something, just desperate to avoid buying a dog.
I don't think anyone has said dog yet, but I love, and I can totally see. I mean, I've seen so many scenes about dogs. I don't really need to be in or see another one. Anna said taxidermy, which also cracked me up.
Oh, I would love to do taxidermy.
She's like, "What? Do you know a taxidermist? Do you know anyone that does taxidermy?" It's like, I don't think I do. I don't think I was. I don't know if that happened at SAC where there was a run of taxidermy as a suggestion. I don't think I was there for it. I remember. I remember shake weight. That was the flavor of the month.
Oh yeah, everyone loved saying shake weight.
My favorite memory of that era of suggestion getting was a crime endowment, and Tony Rechtenwald was the one that had gone out and he was coming back in. So he's the criminal doing the confession. And it got down to I think it was, like, what were you using or whatever. And they were really trying to start far away and not be obvious about it. And he said, I don't know what you're doing, but it must be a shake weight.
Oh my God.
And it was. So the audience loved it. But yeah. So you didn't get dog.
No, but I've gotten it a million times.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to burn a suggestion that doesn't inspire you?
Well, Dale, when he was hosting, would just make fun because I would just go, nah, I don't want to take that. And so I don't have a clever way. I would just say, I don't want to take that. I would just get something else.
Yeah.
Or you can make a bit out of it, I guess, and kind of like look curiously at the person and judge them because the audience is probably judging them too. But I don't know. I think creative association is good. Just, what's the thing that makes you think, if someone says, even if it just occurs to you, right? So if I'm like, is the window open or closed? And someone says closed. It's like, well, what occurs to you? Oh, a rainy day and someone's stuck inside. Great. So I think just being creatively, just associate with it. Just what's next to it. What's adjacent to that thought.
So you don't necessarily have to burn it. You just make that leap after you get the thing that isn't so great.
I maybe it doesn't happen very frequently. I either will just say I don't want to do that, or I'll just think about something adjacent to it.
Other than things that remind you of a monkey, what do you look for in an audience volunteer?
Honesty.
It's a great answer. I just don't know how you assess.
I love that they're just being themselves and they're actually answering.
Okay,
They're not giving jokey things. And I'm delighted when someone's just like, yeah, I have a weird hobby. And they just like tell you like what they're into. And it's like, oh, that's awesome. And they're just themselves. And I think that's just so refreshing. And you just have this like human moment of just getting to explore and celebrate this person who just had the guts to be themselves and not say a jokey shake weight line.
yeah. What if you're gonna bring them on stage? Like, is there anything in particular you're looking for, or anything in particular that tells you not this person that's a red flag?
Yeah, if usually they're perky looking. There's a look of fun in their eyes, and they're like you could tell they're having fun, and they've been laughing, and like they want to be a part of this. It could be really hard, like the John Hunter's rule would be like, maybe don't pick the person who's everyone's pointing at, because
Yeah,
I don't know if that's holds much water. I don't know if that's the best rule of thumb, but I don't know. You want the person to be volunteering themselves, I think.
yeah. I think that you can occasionally pull the person up who's getting pointed at, but you gotta kind of assess: are they faking not wanting to be up here? Do they really not want to be up here? Can I grab the person that's pointing? So I think, as a rule of thumb, not grabbing them is probably correct.
Yeah, just looking for the person who's been into the show and who wants
Yeah.
to have fun.
We've talked about this a little bit, and I know it's something that you said that you really enjoy about SAC, unless it's something that's being illustrated in the Get For by Jose. But what's your onstage persona? Is onstage Adam different than offstage Adam?
Yeah, I think so. I think on stage it's so funny. Everyone kind of does impressions of me, and it's usually just very whimsical and very flamboyant. Also, I just love to play confident, dumb people.
Yeah.
Just really passionate, confident, dumb people. So I think that's one of the reasons I kind of got, Scharf and Walden was kind of winding down because I just kept playing that same persona like every show. And I wanted to explore different outlets of myself. So I started like writing music and getting more into fiction and just to be firing on all cylinders.
So you had kind of a Martin and Lewis dynamic.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. He was so smart and he is smarter than me. So there would be so many times where I wouldn't know where the state was located in the scene, and he would just look at me like, "Adam, you don't know where that's." Like, I don't know where. So he would call me out all the time on my ignorance.
What is it what inspires you on stage?
Physicality. I'm pretty physical on stage. I like using my body to create a character and to generate a voice and a point of view. And I love it when my partner is doing that too and just making bold, simple choices. And it's just sort of unfolding. And I'm surprised. And I love it when a scene comes together that you thought was going to fall apart and it gets a huge round of applause. And it's just so satisfying.
Yeah. Is there anything that would shut you down or take you out of it on stage?
Yeah. I mean, Dale used to make fun of me all the time when he was hosting, or Mike Carr did too. If I was just uncomfortable and it wasn't funny, I wasn't interested in it, I would usually just black out the scene while I was in it. And I remember getting like yelled at and posed like, "Stop blacking out scenes. You have to let them happen. I will black them out for you." Yeah, I went through a phase where I just was like, I don't like this. And I would just black it out. That's just my own fear, That was just my own immaturity, I think.
Yeah, but also it's like, I remember anyway that anyone could black it out. The host, the tech, any
Yeah,
of the
but
players.
usually not the person in the scene. I would be doing it. And I think at one point Mike was like, "No, okay, next time Adam tries to black out the scene, you don't pull the lights down." He like gave the audience and the tech that instruction. So I remember waving and nothing was happening. I was like, "Oh."
I don't know what this says about me, but when you were initially saying that, I thought what you meant was that, like, blackout drunk, you blacked out in the middle of the scene and you just stopped remembering anything that happened and carried on in the scene, but you just didn't remember it afterward because you were bored.
No, no. It's so funny. Don't you think like most people think, wow, if I get intoxicated on stage, I'm going to be hilarious?
They might think that, but I have not personal experience from the drinking part, but from being with people who have thought that. I have evidence to the contrary.
Yeah, you're just a menace.
Yeah.
And like everyone's uncomfortable. I've seen that before. Actually, there was a brawl team at SAC where this competition where everyone created their own team, and it was a clever thing. It was like designated improviser. So there was like one sober person on the team, and everyone else was drunk and taking shots throughout the show. I don't think it turned out well.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a couple, at least one show in Annoyance, maybe that well, I mean, Drunk Shakespeare exists as well. That's a show, but I think it has to be the right context, and you've got to be protected. Otherwise, it's the audience feels the same way they did when you were dropped on your neck.
Yeah.
And we're legitimately concerned for this person.
Yeah, everyone's concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of able to enjoy the shenanigans. Adam, in your estimation, what makes a good scene partner?
Someone who's emotional and adds simple details and keeps it moving. I love when a partner comes out and they got momentum and confidence. And it's just because, again, like, keep bringing you back to this, but like, you're not doing anything, it's occurring to you, and you need something, a catalyst for it to occur to you. So when someone's just standing on stage and just, it's like with no emotion, no posture, no interesting activity going on, I'm just like, oh no, nothing's occurring. I have to make this up. So yeah, so I love it when and most of the time, everyone at SAC they're just so generous and so creative, and they come out with so many details and emotions, and it's just so easy to allow it to occur to you.
Yeah. Do you have any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Yeah, slow down. Yeah, really savor the simplicity, the emotional simplicity. I just remember moving too quickly, speaking too fast. I don't know if it was like an ADHD brain, but just like, just you can perform the hell out of one little moment and let that be enough, and just have confidence in that. Like, if you start a scene and all you do is open a Snapple, just relish in emotionally opening the Snapple and let that be meaty. It could be that simple.
For some reason, I envisioned Mr. Bean in that moment, like as a character that really is pretty much mute, but definitely emotionally attempts to do things and is highly entertaining. At least I think so.
Oh yeah, I'm very bean centric.
Yeah. Both coffee and Mr.
Mister. Oh yeah.
I think you already answered this, but what is your favorite type of character to play?
Yeah, just absurd, a tinge of surreal, and really confident in my ineptitude.
Yeah. And I really think in that type of thing, the confidence really is the clincher there that makes that something that you can watch for a long time. Because people are inept or bumbly or weird and also not confident elicits a different emotion from the audience, right?
Yeah, it's like they have affection for you, I think, too. It's like they're in on it. Like they get
Yeah.
what you're doing and they love it. It's not a punchline, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm saying a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I get what's funny about this, and yeah, it's fun. And I also really like mischief. I like being mischievous on stage. I love that in a scene partner too, when they're kind of messing with things.
If you could do a scene with anyone alive, who would it be?
Um, can I call in next week?
Well, so this is a 3-part question. So we can move on to the next one if that's helpful at all, which is if you could do a scene with anyone in the pantheon of people who have gone before and are no longer with us, is there anyone you'd like to do a scene with?
I don't know. I really don't know. Did I ruin the podcast?
Yes. This question, it all leads to this question. The third part, I'll just put there. The third part is then if you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be? So just, ruminate on those. We can come back if you want, but we don't have to. We'll just put them out there.
Oh man. You really stumped me, Terry Gross. Look at that.
Oh, so you would like to do a scene with Terry Gross?
Yes, that's my answer. I want to do improv with Terry Gross.
For some reason, I think that would be amazing.
And actually, it would probably be amazing.
And Guy Risdall and other NPR greats. Adam, what do you find to be most helpful from the booth?
Just kind of anticipating what's going to happen. I think I love that when they get like oh, this glass is going to break or something, and it's magic when it is in sync. Or they pull something out of their pocket where it just now that's the scene. I wish I had a better example, but like I love it when they do something mischievous as well at times, where it's like all of a sudden this sound effect is playing,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I guess we have to deal with that. So that can be fun or annoying. I don't know. I've had to go both ways.
See, and here I thought you'd just say a blackout when I ask for it in the middle of a scene.
That's all I need.
Yeah. Well, sort of on the annoying side of thing, what do you find least helpful from the booth?
Probably too many choices on their end where it's too convoluted. It doesn't feel congruent with what's happening. It's not really
Sure.
complementing what's happening. It's just like it's heavy-handed. All of a sudden, there's like this weird light cue, or just like But yeah, like Charlie Downs is great. So many times he would just, I think he's a sensitive guy, so he just kind of like got what the pulse of the scene was. And, all of a sudden, this confident, inept guy that I would be playing would get this beautiful spotlight on him and all the lights would be on. And it was just like, and then he would just have this emotional rant about it. It was like, yeah, that's so generous and sensitive to set that character up like that.
Other than laughter, is there an audience sound that you revel in?
I love it when they're laughing so hard that they remember at SAC they would rumble their feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved the rumbling of feet.
Is there a type of laughter that you appreciate more? And I don't mean like chortle versus snort, but
Head back laugh.
okay.
I just love their head is back. They're beside themselves.
Is there a sound that the audience could make that would make you uncomfortable?
There was an audience member making animal noises once. Do you remember her?
Possibly. Did we assume that it was Tourette's related?
Some sort of illness. She was asked to leave, but yeah, she was making a lot of barnyard noises throughout the scene.
Oh, no, I don't know if I remember that.
All of a sudden, you'd be like doing a scene. All of a sudden, you're like, moo. And it was like funny for a second. And you're like, whoa, what are you doing? Yeah, the animal noises got to me.
We should not have given her a mic.
Yeah, why did we mic her up?
What were we thinking? And I would imagine also, although it's maybe more the absence of sound, but like when Dinger dropped you at the tournament.
Oh, yeah, a gasp is very uncomfortable for me. I get frozen by a gasp because I think, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Did they see a spider? Is there a spider near me?
Yeah. But sometimes someone will set me up and I'll make a choice to like heighten it, but it maybe is offensive and I get gasped. I'm like, oh no, because I'm really not trying to be that guy.
Yeah, I should not have asked my son to watch this videotape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All the examples were just you.
Yeah, that was all me.
What is the worst venue you've played?
It was probably the pool.
Yeah. That you couldn't jump in?
They couldn't jump in. Everyone was splashing. People were just swimming. There was music playing.
Do you think that was more of a, can we have permission to do a show at your pool versus a, hey, we'd like to do a show and we'd like a good space to do this? And, oh, the pool? Yeah, we can probably make that work.
Yeah. Actually, Dan and I did a show at UCF and we thought we had made the big time. It was like in their arena and it was like this festival that was happening, this arts festival. And they're like, we got a stage. We want you guys, we want to book you to perform. And we were like, whoa, okay. It was like in this arena. We were like, this is going to be awesome. And when we get there, they have one lapel mic and one wire cord handheld mic. And it's in the arena. It's on the stage, but there's a giant like market happening on the floor. People aren't like watching. They're shopping.
Yeah.
As if we were like a jazz group and just playing, but we were doing improv and like no one cared and no one could hear us well. That was pretty abysmal. That was a bad location. You ever done a show at Give Kids the World?
No.
I was like, it's really special. Like there's like a little theater that's amazing. But I remember once or twice they had us do our show on a pirate ship, but the pirate ship was like a little too far away from the audience. So it's like no one knew what we were doing. It was too far away. So
Mom, what are those pirates doing?
Yeah, you're just on a pirate ship. People don't really get what's going on.
It was actually like in the water away from the beach.
Yeah, it was just too far away. Too far away. Maybe I'm just hyperbolically like filtering this through my memory.
No, I just love the thought process that must have gone through the people that booked that there. Like what? Because that's got to be like what would be good there? It's something loud, maybe like a band. But then you've got to get the band stuff out to the pirate ship.
Yeah, I don't think people get like you just want music. You don't want improv at this event.
Yeah.
Most of the time, but I don't know. No, it worked out great, and they have a really cool little theater there that it's amazing. But yeah, the pirate ship is difficult spot.
So ask if they want to book you. Ask, is it the pirate ship?
Yeah, you got to ask. Oh, I did a really at Drunken Monkey, that cafe during that era. It was really awkward. Obviously, like coffee grinders were going off and people were on their laptops and on their phone and just trying to have conversations. And the show was going okay. It wasn't going great. And this old guy was watching and he gets up and then mid scene, as he's leaving, he turns to us and says, "Don't quit your day job." And then leaves. We're in the scene. And then you have to face all these people who are just working on stuff. I was like, oh God. So yeah, really sad.
And then he was hit by a car.
Yeah, we heard it. We heard his scream. I don't know why we mic'd him. I'm still alive.
And we all hid in the bathroom and waited for someone else to come and help. What's the best note or the best words of wisdom you've received?
I was in a pattern. I think Brett gave me this where he was like, "Stop falling in love with me." I don't know why. Maybe it's just easy. And like when a character just secretly loves the other person, I guess that was too trite. And we got in a rut. And I remember no one had ever called me out on that. It was like an improv choice. Like, yeah, you fall in love with the other character, but it turned to be pretty good of like finding more tensions and creative pathways than just falling in love with the other person. But I do think love is very important. I think a lot of times when I was teaching classes, I think everyone, like the students, were nervous, and from that fear, they reflexively were negative, and they would say things that they hated.
Yeah.
And I remember like thinking, oh, that's a good lesson actually, because like scenes wouldn't go anywhere. I would be like observing this. I'm like, oh, like if you hate something, it means you love something more, and it's more fruitful probably to explore what you love. And so that's something that I just kind of got from watching a lot of scenes of negative origins. And it was just like so much more interesting to like be in love with things. Like maybe not the other person, but like whatever. If you're opening a window, like you do it with love, or it just, what are you into as the person, as the character? What do you love instead of what you hate? And it seems to be more fruitful.
Yeah. What is the least helpful note you've received? Or if you haven't received one, what's the least helpful note you can conceive of?
Get out of your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Right.
Yeah. And so that goes back to meditation. I think that's actually like, for me, the only solution, the only medicine for that is to recognize that like you're not these thoughts and they're just happening, and you don't have to do anything.
If there were an Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
Most whimsical spinning.
Okay.
I spinned a lot, and Anna used to make fun of me a lot because I would just spin a lot in scenes.
Yeah. I can picture it now that you say that as well. Yes. But it would be, one man's turn is another man's spin.
Yeah. I mean, there was art to it.
Yeah.
And everyone was laughing and enjoying it.
Yeah. And all that from the window was closed. So
the window was closed. Yeah.
Why judge? Okay, here's the last one. If you're remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what would you want it to be?
I think Scharf and Walden I'm really grateful for that. I think what we did was really special. And the scenes with Brett, I was just so grateful to have happen and to be a part of. So there were shows that we would just come backstage buzzing. Like we just couldn't believe that happened, and there was this connection with everybody in the room, and it was so weird and so funny and emotional and connected, and yeah, there was just so much heart to it. I think I'm very happy with that work.
Excellent. Yeah. So other than, did you want to revisit Dead or Fictional to add to Terry Gross?
I like Harpo Marx.
Sure.
I guess I'd do a scene with him. He doesn't speak, so it would be probably pretty hard.
It could also be very interesting and fun because he's someone who would be very expressive externally, so you wouldn't necessarily need the language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It could be fun to do a scene with my mom.
Yeah.
She's not an improviser or a performer. That could be a really funny show.
Scharf and Mom.
Yeah, me and my mom, and it's like you do you do a show with your mom who's not an improviser. That could be really funny.
Hey, when is Mother's Day? May? Something like that? Pitch it to Dinger.
Yeah. We should just bring our moms on stage and do scenes. Everyone has to do scenes with our mom.
Yeah. Or like improvisers versus their moms, so they don't get any help from you at all, and then the audience is going to feel bad for them, and regardless of how good you do, the moms will win, right?
Yeah, well, we should have a point where all the moms line up and we vote them off one by one. Is it Linda or Dolores?
Who do you think did a better job raising their kids? Okay, here we go.
And then maybe there's a chat. You could swap moms. You get to trade your mom for another one
for the year.
Yeah,
until the next show.
Yeah, so yeah, that could be a good show.
Yeah. That's it for this interview with Adam. You can catch him at SAC Comedy Lab now and again, or on a corporate gig for SAC. He's also a talented musician as well as an improviser, so look up his music. I'll throw some links in the show notes to make it easier. Just don't expect any K-pop. Thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.